Hi, I'm Claire Tsuluga and I'm the artist behind Sig and Siegel. I'm super excited to make this video for the Pigeon Letters blog and show you my process of making this cute layered illustration using Cricut. So first, let's talk about supplies. On my iPad, I use Procreate for sketching, Affinity Designer for vectorizing, and Cricut Design Space for drawing and cutting. Watercolor paper, different pen sizes for details, paint, brushes and pencils, and glue. A Cricut machine, mine is a maker. Cutting mats, because I'm using heavy watercolor paper, I chose the standard grip. A fine point blade, pens and pen holder. You can use the Cricut brand, but I bought an adapter on Etsy to fit my Micron. Cricut brand are water-based and I need a waterproof pen for watercolor. So just think about how you will color later if you want to color at all. And washi tape if your mat is getting less sticky and you need to secure the paper on the mat. For the sketching part, I use Procreate to make this drawing. It is available to download if you want to follow along. For this sketch, I thought about my daughter and her best friend who love rainbows, thought that would be a great piece for their rooms. I started with the idea of this big sun peeking behind clouds, that sunshine and beautiful rainbow after it rains. Then rework the composition. If you're doing your own sketch, be mindful on how the elements of your drawing will be. We're creating a layered illustration, so it's important to think about what will be on top of what, which will cast shadows and create this effect of depth. When you're done, export your drawing. I'm just doing a JPEG as this is a rough idea and we will transform into lines in Affinity. Now, switching to Affinity, create a new document. I'm using the preset setting, which are about 18 by 14 inches, and I bumped the DPI to 300. Import your sketch, click and drag. Let's set the size of our illustration. I have this cute unused frame that fits a 6 by 6 piece, so I'm going to use that as a reference, creating a square and changing the size to 6 by 6. I decided to create a circle opening to our illustration, like a window into the scene. I'm making a circle of 4.5 inches and I adjust the sketch into that space. Now I can start drawing my shapes using the pencil tool, starting with my clouds. All the clouds are drawn. I'm making sure my lines are close and adjust any point that I don't like or are twisted. For the sun, I'm just using a simple ellipse. And for the sun rays, I use the pen tool, making sure the line is closed and drawn beyond the circle opening. And for the rainbow, I use a donut shape and modified the start and end angle settings. Now that we have all our shapes, let's talk about layering. In this illustration, we are not creating a scene coming out, but we are looking into. So it's important to create layering paper to show depth. First, let's duplicate the first circle we made, the scene opening, and duplicate the square, which is going to be the frame reference. We're going to use it later. The first circle we made, which is the window opening to the scene, like I said, will be the front layer. And we need to merge it to the square to create our first layer. Selecting the duplicated circle, I like to make it bigger, about 5 inches, and it will be used to create those layers in between in the scene. I like to make it bigger because it creates a gap from the front layer, which accentuates the depth. And same as the front layer, we merge that circle to the duplicated square. Now we have the front layer in red and in green what I will call the layering layer. Now it's time to think about how many layerings we want. During my sketching, I always think about it, and all the element that touches the circle of that front layer will be welded to one layering in the Cricut design space. In this piece, I have 4 clouds and the sun rays going beyond that circle, which means I will make at least 5 layering. So let's duplicate that. You can add as many layering as you want in between to create even more distance and more depth. When all the curves are ready to go, let's export it as SVG. Moving on to Cricut Design Space, let's create a new project and upload our SVG file and insert. Resize the shape to the dimension you want. In my case, 6 by 6. I'm gonna ungroup and let's set up the layers. I'm checking that all my shapes are here and that they look okay. Now trying to find the first layer, I'm gonna put it on the side because we don't need to touch it. It's gonna be cut as it is. We need to weld every layer to one element, clouds and sun rays. Except for the sun, rainbow, and the cloud behind the sun, who will be cut alone, so you can place them on the side as well. Select one cloud and one layering at a time and arrange them in your space for better visual. Same with the sun rays. Selecting the sun, cloud, and rainbow, we're gonna edit them from cut to pen. Then click on offset and choose the size of the offset you want. I set mine at 0.05. And when the offset is made, edit it to cut. Now we have two shapes created. One, the offset is going to be the cut, and then the pen is going to be the drawing. Make sure you select each cut to its pen and attach. Now let's work on the layerings. Select the cloud, edit from cut to pen, and create the offset. Select the layering shape and the new offset and weld them together. Make sure this is now cut and rearrange the cloud pen shape on top for visual and attach them together. Now we gotta redo this process to every other layerings. Now that all our layers are ready, let's make sure that each layer has one cut and one pen. And when it's done, let's make it. Let's talk about settings. I'm using Canson watercolor paper, 140 pounds, 300 grams. Cricut Design Space does have a cutting preset made for that kind of paper, but I found that it wasn't cutting it properly. Some parts were not cut all the way through, so I made my own settings. Try with your paper first, and if you want, here are my custom settings. Using fine point blade, I put the pressure at 341 with a multipass time 2. I found that having that second cut helped a lot cutting those parts that were lightly cut on the first pass. And now, let the machine do the work. Now that we have all our shapes drawn and cut, I'm gonna start adding details and color. And because I'm making a piece inspired by my kids, I'm adding some cute faces on the sun and clouds. I'll be using watercolor and add some color details with pencils and watercolor pencils. Once all the layers are dry, I can start gluing. When gluing the layers together, I'm always careful that all edges and corners are aligned. For the sun, rainbow and cloud, I use some scraps of paper between them to create some distance. And voila! I love the final result. I did add one more layer between the first layer and the first cloud in the end, but it looks awesome. So I hope you really enjoy it too. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you to Peggy and the team at the Pigeon Letter for giving me the opportunity to make this video for you. For the occasion, I made a freebie SVG that you can download from my website at segansiegel.com. I would love to see what you made, so post it on Instagram and tag me at Segan_Siegel, and feel free to DM me if you have any questions. Talk to you soon. Bye.